People who have lived a long, long time here, no, you shouldn't be breaking up families. Would you want your family broken up?
Now at 6, a community in Grainger County still recovering after an ICE raid with federal immigration agents some 2 months ago. In early April, those agents raided a Grainger County meatpacking plant and found 97 people who faced possible removal from the country. 54 were detained, 10 were indicted on federal charges, and 10 of those people were Mexican or Guatemalan.
10 News reporter Mark Salinger spoke with people in Grainger County today still recovering from that raid. Mark?
Robin and John, many of those who were detained are now reunited with their families. Others are still waiting in limbo, unsure if they'll be deported or be allowed to come back here to East Tennessee, a place they call home.
An American flag flies high and proud above Rutledge. But the town is still coming to terms with the effect the laws of our country have had on the community.
They're the ones that's doing the work that nobody else wants to do.
The raid left wives separated from their husbands, brothers torn apart from their sisters, and children without their parents.
You see them clinging to their parents, more tears, more anxiety of separation. They don't play the same.
On that April evening, St. John Paul II Catholic Mission served as a safe house for anyone fearing deportation or desperate for answers about their loved ones.
Kind of like huddling the masses, safety in numbers, a sense of security.
Father Steve Pollock and his congregation helped as much they could.
We gave out close to $8,000 worth of assistance for utilities, rent, car payments, all those basic bills.
The raid disrupted operations at Southeastern Provision, but while the slaughterhouse has remained open, many families are just now reunited with their loved ones.
Are your family members and your friends still not at home back here in Tennessee? ¿Tus familiares están todavía fuera de Tennessee?
Se llevaron a varios amigos, pero...
They took several friends, he says. Thank God many of them have been able to return. Guadalupe Santana came to America legally. He wants everyone to know immigrants are here to make the country a better place.
You came here to work in the United States. Vinieros aquí a trabajar en los Estados Unidos.
Nosotros no somos asesinos.
We are not killers. We are not criminals, he urges. We are workers.
And so far, 10 people were charged federally with failing to leave the country when ordered or entering the country illegally. 8 have entered plea agreements. Robin and John.